The Minister for Trade and Industry, Alan Tremantin, says there's much more defense for the 2021 budget, especially when it best pushes the Ghanaian business ahead of their African counterpart on the Continental Free Trade Agreement area. According to him, the suspension of tax stamp for small businesses and initiatives in the budget will ensure that a conducive business environment is created. Alan was speaking at the Economic Dialogue on the 2021 budget organized by auditing firm Deloitte. Of course, we're joined by its head of financial advisory, Yao Late, who is, of course, monitoring events as they unfold at this particular forum. We're so grateful, Yao, that you joined us for this program. First of all, you used the occasion to advise businesses to take advantage of the suspension of penalty on outstanding tax liabilities to clear the taxes and begin on a positive recovery. If you could expatiate this particular pointer you made.
Okay, so thank you very much. I think our budget dialogue, the Deloitte budget dialogue, was organized in the context of making Ghana a hub for the Africa continental free trade. And one of the key points that came out during the dialogue was the fact that Ghanaian businesses will have to remain competitive if we seek to take advantage of AfCFTA. So, for instance, if we have excessive taxation on our businesses, the prices of the goods and services that will be exported outside Ghana will not be competitive relative to other goods and services from countries that do not have taxes at our levels. So I think we advise businesses to position themselves to take advantage of the opportunities that the Africa Continental Free Trade Area offers for their businesses. You certainly, business in Ghana have got a bigger African market to benefit from. So with that, I guess our advice to businesses that they should take advantage of all the opportunities that are available within the 2021 budget statement and economic policy of government. I think of particular importance is the rebates and incentives that government gives to businesses. So some of the incentives that we noted was the fact that government has waived penalties and interest on unpaid taxes or on accrued taxes up to December 2020. As we know, businesses that have very huge taxable or tax payable over the period, if you compute interest, which are compounded over the period that the tax is accrued, there are some form of disincentive to businesses. So businesses are not incentivized to pay these taxes. Government has given some form of what we call amnesty to businesses to come along, pay the tax, declare the taxes, voluntarily pay without any interest, without penalties on them. And that's an advantage that business should just pursue and go for. The other thing is waiver of some taxes. I guess the popular term that government will be using will be the nuisance taxes, taxes on petty traders, truck drivers, and so on and so forth. I think those taxes easily get passed on to consumers. And given that we have new taxes introduced, if those taxes were still there, we are going to have massive increases in transport fares. And so what we are thinking, or what we are advising business, that look, once some of these taxes have been removed or taken out completely, we expect that to business to benefit from that.
All right. Well, but yeah, in spite of the goodies that you listed, of course, the budget has also been described by many as austere, looking at the various instruments that government introduced, taxes, levies, and whatnot, and the cuts in expenditure. But speaking of the Continental Free Trade Agreement area, arguably, one can say that nothing was said about that one. So to hear the Trade Minister make this particular opinion is much more of a comparative analysis. What does Deloitte stand on the imports of AfCFTA when it comes to the 2021 budget?
Yeah, so I think in the budget, it wasn't as elaborate, but there were some pointers in there as to what government is doing to support business take advantage of AfCFTA. And I think we got the advantage of having the trade minister give a lot more explanation and a lot more information as to what the ministry or the government will be doing to support businesses going forward. So in essence, government is creating various platforms, stakeholder engagement, like the minister making himself available for the Deloitte dialogue. I think all of those are to help businesses, enlighten them. One thing that has been noted during our stakeholder engagement is that the knowledge and the education around AfCFTA is very low. A lot of business do not know what the opportunities are for them and after. And so government should continuously engage.
Okay.
The second point to also note is value addition. We have to add value to the products that we are producing from the country. And so government should create the needed environment so that business can add value to our products so that they can remain competitive in terms of quality and price.
All right, but yeah, even as we talk about businesses, we cannot, let go the import of the banking fraternity. You are the head of financial advisory with Deloitte, and I believe that you interact more with most of these persons within the banking industry. Now we're hearing of the 5% profit before tax. They call it the banking sector cleanup levy. How should banks navigate their way through this particular introduction under the continental free trade? Because remember that even though we have indigenous banks, most of the other, Pan-African banks, international banks would have to be competing for the limited space in AfCFTA. How can they navigate their way through?
I think that appears to be some form of challenge for our banking industry, particularly if you take note of the fact that we have national fiscal stabilization levy of 5%, and then we are going to add on this tax of another 5%. So effectively, banks are going to pay 10% of their profit before tax. That comes before you pay 25%. So technically, banks are paying 35% of their profit as taxes. That, if you compare that to what we're going to be competing with, because the Ghanaian bank is not only going to supply services to Ghanaians, it's going to be an African-wide thing. So if you are providing loans and advances to customers in other places or supporting business outside Ghana, and you are giving loans at certain interest rate that is not competitive, then our banks may not be in a position to support the Africa Continental Free Trade agenda. So what we are asking government to do is that maybe in the short to medium term, it should review the policy.
All right.
Because what was stated in the budget, that this is for just 4 years. The bankers have raised that issue, that when we introduced the National Fiscal Stabilization Levy, it was supposed to be for about 5 years or so, or 3 years. Now it's been more than 20 years that the levy is still there. So if we have another one that's been introduced for 4 years, what's the guarantee that it will be removed after 4 years? So the banks have raised issues to that. But I think what we would advise the banking sector to do is to look for other opportunities. I guess beyond Ghana, there are other opportunities to collaborate with partners outside Ghana who will be able to finance projects outside Ghana, get the benefits of it, and then proceed.
Yeah, Olato, we're grateful that he joined us. He's the head of financial advisory with Deloitte, of which they're holding an economic forum on AfCFTA and everything business related.